What if I told you that a car designed from scratch under revolutionary regulations achieved something on its first day that neither Red Bull nor McLaren could do? What did Antonelli see on his first lap with the W17 that left him speechless? And why did George Russell say that everything seemed intuitive to him now? Get ready, because what happened in Barcelona could have changed the fate of the entire 2026 season. Barcelona. Monday, January 26, 2026. The Circuit de Catalunya dawned with more stable weather than Silverstone, but with completely different pressure. It was not just the first official preseason test. It was the first real face-to-face between the cars built under the new technical regulations of Formula One. Each team brought its interpretation of the regulations, and every minute on the track could be the difference between starting the season with a solid foundation or discovering, too late, that the chosen concept was not working. Mercedes left nothing to chance. From the opening of the pit lane, the W17 was the first to leave, and he did it under the hands of Andrea Kimi Antonelli, a strategic decision more than symbolic. It was his first time as the main driver in an official F1 test, but also the opportunity to evaluate how a young man, with raw talent but without the technical customs of previous generations, could adapt to a revolutionary car from the first moment. During that morning session, Antonelli completed 56 laps. He didn't fail once. And although he set an unofficial time of 1 minute and 20.700 seconds, placing himself as the fourth fastest of the morning, the truly important thing was not in the times. It was in what the sensors hidden in every centimeter of the car transmitted to the garage. Fluid temperature, load distribution between axles, efficiency of the energy recovery system, hybrid consumption by sector, thermal degradation by curve. Data, not stopwatches. That was what everyone at Mercedes observed with almost religious attention. In the later leaked words of an engineer, what we were seeing on the screens didn't make sense. The virtual model told us that these figures were theoretically possible, but we didn't expect to see them from day one. Not like that. Not so clean. The reliability was part of the wonder. But what raised concerns among rivals was the aerodynamic stability of the W17. In previous years, even champion cars showed lateral instability or aerodynamic bounce during the first few laps. The W17, however, maintained a stable line of behavior with minimal oscillations, even in high-speed corners like 3 and 9, two of the most demanding on the Catalan circuit. And this, on a machine with active aerodynamics, one of the biggest technical challenges of 2026, is simply anomalous. Other teams reported disconnections, oscillations in the intelligent DRS, overstress in the hydraulic actuators. Mercedes, no. The car seemed to have been born in harmony with its own complexities. And that was what set off all the alarms. In the pit area, technicians from other teams began to exchange glances. Not because of the return time. Not because of the aesthetics of the car. But for the absence of errors. The W17 did not show any bounce on the main straight. It did not lose traction at the exit of turn 5. It did not degrade the front tires faster than the rear tires, a classic pattern in cars with poor balance. Everything was where it should be. As if they had already had weeks of simulations when it was just the first real contact. But there was something else. Something that is not seen in the graphs or in the pure data. Something you feel, the confidence of the pilot. And Antonelli, when he got out of the car, had neither the face of a tense rookie, nor the typical speech of a cautious driver. His words were brief but revealing. He said the car was very nice to drive. A simple term in appearance, but in the codified language of Formula One, it means much more. It means that the driver is not fighting with the car, who trusts him, that he feels he can push. And when a driver feels that from day one, something big is starting to build. The morning session ended, but Mercedes had already won the first battle of the year, the battle of perception. And the paddock, although it tried to hide, already knew it. The afternoon session in Barcelona was more than a second half of the day. It was validation. In the morning, Antonelli had impressed. But now the moment of truth arrived. Because if there was anyone with the experience, sensitivity, and authority to make an uncompromising technical judgment, it was George Russell. Since his debut in Formula One, Russell had earned a reputation as a meticulous driver. Its ability to identify balance faults, read anomalous car behavior, and communicate with surgical clarity to engineers made it the ideal tool to validate or demolish a technical concept. And that's what Mercedes needed. Someone who could say straight up if the W17 was really up to the challenge or if what happened in the morning had just been a mirage. George went out onto the track. And from the first stages of his stint, it was clear that something had changed. There were no blockages. There were no violent corrections to the steering wheel. There was no sign of a constant struggle to find the optimal braking point. What there was flow, rhythm, naturalness. Russell completed 93 laps. At no point did the pace drop abruptly. The car simply allowed everything. His best time, 1 minute and 18.696 seconds, placed him within half a second of the fastest of the day, Isaac Hadjar with the Red Bull RB22. But again, as had happened in the morning, the clocks were decorated. The real content was in the form. And in form, the W17 was shining. The first thing that surprised Russell was not the sheer speed, but the intuitiveness of the car. He said it openly, driving it is quite intuitive. To the uninitiated, that word may seem trivial. But in the context of a completely new Formula One car with active aerodynamics, real-time hybrid distribution and new regulatory charges, a driver talking about intuition is synonymous with confidence, with organic understanding of the vehicle. That is to say, the car does what you expect it to do. He doesn't betray you. There are no aerodynamic traps. There are no surprises when you go full throttle into a high-speed corner. And that, on the first day of real tests, does not happen by accident. Russell also experienced a seamless transition between hybrid power modes. In the 2026 era, drivers no longer just manage the accelerator and brake. They are now also responsible in real time for the car's energy efficiency. 50% of the total power comes from the electrical system. Any error in the management of this resource directly impacts the race pace. But Russell not only had no problems. He felt that the system accompanied him, not conditioned him. Something that contrasts greatly with the complaints of other pilots in the paddock, who spoke of imprecise hybrid systems, difficult to predict, with energy maps that have not yet been refined. And if the data was any good, Russell's body language as he got out of the car was even more revealing. There were no gestures of frustration. There were no long conversations with engineers pointing out problems. What there was a tacit validation. George knew this car was something else. Something new. Something different. Something that could return Mercedes to the front group, not with hope, but with certainty. And all that had happened without them really pushing yet. The most brutal data was not in his lap time. It was in the silent statistics. Mercedes completed between 149 and 151 laps in a single day. That figure, beyond the variation between sources, placed them as the second team with the most mileage of the day, just behind Esteban Ocon with Haas. But while Ocon was racking up laps to find basic reliability, Mercedes was collecting real performance data. Aerodynamic loads and curves, efficiency of dynamic DRS, consumption in mixed maps, energy recovery times, behavior of the front wing in high pressure. Every turn was useful information. Plain, precise. No detours due to human error or technical interruptions. For the engineers, the challenge has been to design a system that delivers power without interruptions, recovers energy without penalizing performance, and perhaps the most complex thing is that all of this can be actively managed by the pilot from the cockpit. What were once automatisms now require direct human intervention. And that is where many teams have stumbled. But Mercedes, once again, seems to have found a workable solution before its rivals. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, getting out of the W17 after the first session in Barcelona, did not speak like a driver overwhelmed by the technical complexity. He did not resort to the typical preseason defensive speech. On the contrary, his analysis was direct, even revealing. He said, "On the power unit side, it's a little different compared to what we had last year. It requires a little more management, but it's totally doable." With that phrase, Antonelli revealed two things that many overlooked. First, the operational requirement has increased in level. It is not the same system as 2025, and it does not operate the same. There are more parameters to adjust, more scenarios to anticipate, and more decisions to make from the wheel. But, secondly, and this is key, this complexity does not compromise the driving experience. It doesn't slow down performance, does not cause errors, and that changes everything. Because in 2026, managing energy well is no longer an advantage, it is a survival requirement. A driver who does not understand his power unit is a driver condemned to lose half a second per lap, or more. But the W17, in Antonelli's own words, has surprising maneuverability. A smooth transition between regeneration and deployment modes. An internal logic of the hybrid system that does not force the driver to constantly improvise, but rather allows him to build rhythm lap after lap. This does not mean that Mercedes has completely tamed its new engine. Not at all. But it does mean that they have achieved something that other teams have not yet achieved. making the technology work for the driver and not the other way around. In the first days of testing, several reports indicated that other teams were struggling with imbalances between the thermal and electrical axis. Red Bull, for example, had to limit its runs due to critical temperatures in the MGUH system. At Haas, difficulties with energy recovery during braking were reported. Instead, Mercedes maintained stable efficiency, even on long runs with no visible signs of stress on its powertrain. This can only be explained in one way: deep integration between chassis design, hybrid management software, and human piloting. There is no improvisation. There is planning. There is silent work. And above all, there is vision. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.